Hello and welcome again to Synoptix Training. My name is Robbie Hilder, Director of Training with Synoptix Software, and today we are going to be doing a detail area review. When thinking of detail areas, think of this as creating a list or lists on a report. In this example, we're going to create a list of revenue accounts and expense accounts. When creating detail areas or lists, we're going to utilize detail cells within the software. These will vary by ERP. We can either double left click or drag and drop to add these to our designer area. I'm going to build a list by account code and then description. Let's go ahead and format these to be the same. And our properties will be over on the right-hand side. Again, think of this as building a list. In this case, we want to build a list of revenue accounts, then we'll get to the expenses. By default, when we build a detail area or list, that is going to be an unfiltered list. So the next step is we want to filter our list, in this case by our revenue accounts. So we will add a detail area filter, and the list available, again, will vary by ERP, and this will be the same list we have over here of our detail cells. We're going to filter by our top option here of account code, and then we need to define that criteria. We can do this a couple of different ways. We could use the object code portion, and depending on your ERP, they may start with the 4 or perhaps something else. To cover all of our bases, let's go ahead and just use the lookup function here. The default view is to view by accounts, but we can also view by account type. In this case, we'll choose our revenue accounts. We'll go ahead and validate that and see that that is the correct list of accounts. Let's go ahead and then apply that, and we have now filtered our detail area or list to just be revenue accounts. When we're dealing with detail areas, we want to leave at least a 2-row buffer between each detail area or list. Let's now do the same thing for our expense accounts. We'll bring over account code, and then we'll also bring over description. We'll go ahead and format these to be the same. We now have 2 separate detail areas or lists indicated by our green row indicator. Row 4 is our detail area or list of revenue accounts, and row 7 will be our list of expense accounts. Notice that again, by default, we do not have any filtering applied. Once again, our next step will be to apply a filter to filter our list. In this case, we would like to see expense accounts. Let's add our filter. Again, this list will vary by ERP. We'll filter by account code. And this time, the criteria, we're going to use our lookup functionality, view by account type, and let's do our expense accounts. Always a good idea to validate and make sure the list is what we expect. We'll go ahead and apply that, and now we have 2 detail areas or lists, one for revenues, one for expense. Let's go ahead and save our work. And then we'll run the report and make sure the lists are what we expect. We can have as many detail areas or lists on a report as we would like. In this case, there are 2. Again, we have one for revenue, one for expenses, and it's always a good idea to make sure your list or lists are accurate first before we move on and then add numbers to our particular reports. So once again, just a quick review, we did 2 separate detail areas, one for revenues, one for expenses. And then at runtime here, we will get a list of each one of those, and we can have as many of those as we would like. This has been a review of the detail areas. We hope you will join us for future training sessions.